Oh yeah.
That's about enough of music, though. Hey, this is The Great Satan. That was Ministry with The Great Satan. There's like 4 remixes of that on YouTube, and they all sound exactly like you want them to sound for talking about bad stuff. Like, capitalism in America, I'm joined today with Charlie, I'm going to say your name wrong, Marco?
That's my middle name is Marcotte, but yeah, on Facebook I just go by Marcotte so people can't figure out my real name, which is Shully.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I was trying not to dox you, so.
Well, I mean, whatever.
It's fine.
I mean, they could with my middle name probably also.
Yeah, well, that'd probably be easier, right? You got both of them. You got the first and the middle, and then well, anyway, normally I like introduce people, but like I don't need to do that because you're in New Orleans.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you like should we do like current events bullshit, or should we just jump right into what you're doing? Because I'm really interested in it, and I've read some of your work, and I think people need to pay attention to it, especially right now.
Yeah.
People losing their homes and stuff. So you're in housing justice mostly.
With my writing, so I tend to be. That's what I care about a lot. Yeah.
Right. Well, actually, let's do this. What do you do?
Well, I'm a lawyer, but the court's closed down right now, so I'm not really practicing. I'm doing some old stuff for a judge I used to work for. I'm doing some remote work, and then, in January, I just started writing articles for this magazine because I'd published like an op-ed for them where I was doing all this bike research about like bike fatalities in New Orleans and like how the cops don't do anything when someone's killed. And then I finally published that, and they were just like, you should just write once in a while. And I wrote this, my first article was like this liberal, Bill Cassidy did bad thing when Trump was being impeached article.
Yeah.
And it got like 100,000, what was it? Some thousands of shares or something like that. And I was like, okay, this is cool. Like, people are going to start reading my shit. And then like the next article I wrote was about like a former like Katrina era cop who had been promoted to captain recently. But during Katrina, throughout his career, he was involved in like defending the cops who killed black people after Katrina and shit. And so I wrote that article after that, and I was like, yeah, man, this is the real important shit that I'm writing about now. And it got some views, but like nothing compared to like the, Trump bad article, which was kind of annoying. So I kind of wanted to, I write like the articles that like the liberals want to read, I guess, or the magazine needs.
For sure.
And then I write shit that I actually care about that gets some attention, but not as much as I think it should in the grand scheme of things.
Right. Because Trump can be bad and you could still be a landlord, right? Like,
yeah.
So you could like not step on some reader's toes or whatever by saying Trump bad, because Trump bad doesn't make people like introspective or like feel ways in which they're villainous, I
mean, everyone in New Orleans is, if not probably at the most conservative, a conservative Democrat. Almost everyone's liberal, so it's like,
right,
they're still like largely like do bad things in other regards.
Right. Yeah. There's still it's crazy. You won't meet any Republicans in New Orleans. However, they still have just as many landlords as everywhere else.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's fucking rad. So, have there been any like crazy like demonstrations or anything like that down there, or rent strikes or anything organizing, or has it just been a total shit show.
No, there's definitely an organized effort that I do. Actually, there's a call every like Monday and Wednesday that I'm typically on. The big push right now is the state has extended the stay away order or the stay at home order. Sorry, it's a legal difference. Till May 15th. And so previously the eviction courts were closed until April 30th. They stayed until May 15th. Now we're trying to say that like under the federal like emergency provisions currently, if you have a house that is Section 8 or receives any federal assistance, then like you actually anywhere in the country you can't evict your tenants until like July 24th, I believe. It's like 90 days from the original. So we're trying to say like to avoid all this chaos and like some people getting evicted and some people not getting evicted, we should keep the courts closed at least 1 month after that. So until like late August. And that's the push that they're trying to make right now. I'm just, you know, there's like a photo campaign that I had a stupid picture of myself put on their campaign. I just made last week a person, and I'm a big sign person because I make like bike traffic signs and shit and hang around the city like guerrilla art. And we made like, you know, keep eviction court closed signs or stop all eviction signs. We're going to go hang those up in areas. So that's like in terms of rent strike, I think from what I know, there have been a few. It's like it tends to occur in smaller facets because it's way easier to organize a rent strike when you're in an apartment complex and all your tenants are like near you. And so I think that is going on. I know somebody in the workers group here had organized one this weekend, and then they were getting the pushback from their landlords. That was a thing that I think was being talked about. But I mean, the logistics of a rent strike or a citywide one, I had been talking about that with some people, and the logistics are crazy. Like, what do you like? So you need an entire like probably registry of like willing people who are able to house people like in the event that they're evicted.
Right.
You have to have, you know, a base of people that's aware of the consequences of refusing to pay rent, which in Louisiana and probably Alabama too, there really is no legal justification for not paying rent unless you're constructively evicted, which means that like the place is so unlivable that that your lease is basically breached by, you know, fact. And so basically if you don't pay rent, then that just means like you're saying like evict me already under the law.
Right. Yeah.
So it's a big buy-in is my guess, you know.
Yeah. There's basically no movement for a rent strike here. People have just either on their own talking to their own landlords or agencies mostly, because we don't have a lot of like individual small landlords. It's mostly big companies.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I mean, and each landlord is really hit and miss, right? Because you're dealing with a person, and a person is they can be cool or not cool, and they can be cool because their material conditions allow them to be cool, or they can be uncool, cool, but they're forced to be evil, But yeah, the big companies are all going to be like, no, like, what do you mean? Not,
yeah. At the same time, though, the big companies, like, if they're realtors, they have, like, some things that they can get fucked over for, like, not doing. So my next story is actually going to be about, I had to talk delicately because I was referred by an attorney on this. There's a landlord bought someone's apartment where the tenant had already paid rent for that month. And so presumably, like, had the right to stay there for the next month. And the person was a realtor who bought the house and told them they had to leave, and they didn't leave. So she sent her boyfriend over to literally saw through their water main and drill through their electric box.
Okay.
Which is illegal
yes,
anyway. But if a realtor does it, you can basically like probably lose your license over that shit.
Yeah, I'd say so.
So they have like some stricter standards to abide by, um, and so that's a good thing. But yeah, I mean, these small landlords are like, so like the article I previously wrote about Bruno, you have a lot of people like that who like after Katrina, when property values were like shit, just bought a bunch of shit and started making money that way and flipping houses. And so you see like a patchwork of just like meet like small viceroys of fucking people.
Yeah, 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 for sure. Just
Yeah,
like yeah, total scumbags being total scumbags. Uh
yeah.
yeah, so absent like absent like Mao or whatever, we can work within the system, I guess, and or petition the state to keep eviction courts closed. That's the main thing that we're working on then in states like ours.
In Alabama too.
Yeah, I mean, because from what I can tell, there's not really, like you said, you are accurate, by the way. Evictions here, uh, the landlord can just do whatever they want.
Okay.
And absent, like even there was one lady I read about last summer that, a friend of mine told me about it. Technically, he was a lawyer, but I'm going to say I read about it just in case this was whatever. I'm not gonna say her name. I mean, I don't know her name
Right.
or anything,
No
but
one's gonna know.
it's a real story. She was like a dancer, so no proof of income, and I mean, she had proof of income, but not like what she actually made. Paid tons of taxes, but on extra whatever, yada yada yada. The apartment that she was renting, like they just wouldn't fix the air conditioner, so it's like 104 degrees in her house, and they're
That's
like,
big.
"Well, you're not elderly, so that doesn't count as like a like reason to not pay rent." So like she tried to like not say that she didn't have to pay rent because they couldn't fix her place and she had to go get like a hotel room just to sleep.
Fuck.
Yeah, it was NAR, and the everything ruled in the landlord's favor because they were like, well, she was renting the space, not the air conditioner.
Whoa.
Yeah.
That's man. Okay. Shit. I feel like I was gonna say, man, you might have a case for constructive eviction because you need a fucking AC, but Alabama might have a repair and deduct law like Louisiana does.
I believe we do have we have that. A kid shot like a rock through my window one time,
Yeah.
and I called the landlord, and he told me I could fix it and take it off the rent. Uh,
Yeah.
and that was based on our repair and deduct. Absolutely.
But yeah, I mean, the problem with that is it's an AC unit, and you might have just paid rent, and you might not have the fucking money to front for a whole new AC, and then wait to just pay less the next month. So it really is stupid.
Yeah. I read about a lady 2 summers ago that used the Alabama Powers credit thing, put her own name on it for a rented home, and got the like $6,000 air conditioner installed, and was deducting it from rent. And then when she moved out, they still owed like $4,800, and the landlord didn't have to pay her.
Really?
Yeah, so whoever got to move in had to keep paying for this lady's air conditioner. So a tenant owns the air conditioner at this house, and the other tenants paid for it for like 4 more years.
Holy shit.
Yeah, it was the craziest story ever. They never took it to like small claims or anything too.
Yeah, that's
They were just being chill about it, I guess.
cool.
Yeah.
That's I know another thing that we're doing here. There's a lot of like in terms of like protests and shit. A lot of the protests are like I keep missing these because like last week or like for May Day I got sick as fuck.
Yeah.
Um, and then a few weeks before that there was like a drive-through in front of the prison to like they just honked around the jail the whole time. It was lit. And the other day they did a similar thing with the bike blockade also, and they went through and I think it was a decarcerate thing or it was a general like May Day type thing, which is pretty lit.
Yeah,
Uh,
that's rad.
which yeah, fuck. I didn't know until I went to live in Montgomery for a while that there's a few, pretty with it socialists out there.
Yeah, we got some commies over here.
Yeah.
Yeah, a couple of them. Not enough to do anything huge. There's definitely way more cops than there are socialists. So, you know,
It's a cop heavy, or it's a military heavy city. There's a lot
big
of,
time, big time. Lot of pigs and a lot of military.
yeah.
Yeah. We got both kinds. We got cops
Yeah.
and dudes in the military, both
Yeah.
like country and western. Yeah, it's fucking crazy. I didn't know you lived. When did you live here?
Summer of 2017.
Okay, okay.
Hung
Maybe
out.
we did meet in person.
We might have. I went to that bar that was like outside of the city, um, in the woods. Basically, I got so lost trying to get there.
Okay.
Uh, that got shut down not long after that because the owners didn't like that it was like a leftist music place.
Yeah, the one that wasn't a bar. It was BYOB.
That was it. Yeah.
Like all I mean, they tried to make it all ages, but then they tried to make it not all ages, and then yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, that place was lit. I think I saw Nelson play there.
Yeah, Nelly played there a couple times. Yeah. Okay, now I remember you
Yeah, we're
like in person or whatever. Like I know you online. I think we were friends online before that because of like New Orleans stuff.
oh, for real?
I think so, yeah.
Cool.
Um or like not getting hit by cars, bike stuff.
That could be very
That's
possible. Yeah.
probably it. Um
Yeah, I do a bunch of that shit.
yeah, hell yeah. Yeah, that's awesome. So, I guess in terms of like I mean, this is like broad audience or whatever, so we're not talking to just like renters and we're not talking to just people that are trying to like do stay at home without their state allowing them to.
Yeah.
But in terms of like in your area, what advice would you give to individual people that are renting that maybe their landlord is trying some bullshit?
Huh. The dude, I mean, the biggest thing in states like this is that, like, without suppletive law, like existing law that exists without the contract of the lease, the states that are like ours tend to be like, oh, well, both parties have the freedom to contract, so we'll just let them have a contract, and then that'll be the governing thing. Which I could go on a whole, which you probably already, your mind's already going there, probably like why that's bullshit, why the freedom of contracts idea that lawyers are taught is kind of bullshit.
Right.
Um, but in the sense that it exists in many states, more libertarian, like economically libertarian states, to know your contract and to know if you are on a fixed lease or like a month to month or whatever, and know how that works in your state. Um, know how to handle, know that you've like documented like any, try to make sure you've documented the fucking conditions of the place before you move in. But if not, get a good idea of it. And then definitely do that upon leaving if you do leave. Fucking know when, let's see, I can't say if that's for sure with only Louisiana, or because Louisiana is a little weird, um, but make sure that your lease basically, like, that the property can't be sold while you're like living in it, so and then other people can own it and then just kick you out, which is
Yeah.
a peculiar thing that is easier to do under um, Louisiana, like French Roman law, than it is in other states apparently. um, but mostly like know your fucking lease and know that, because if you have a month to month versus a year lease, like you have a different level of power that you can negotiate with, basically, if the
Right.
landlord's terrible. Because in a month to month, you might be able to just get kicked out randomly. Whereas
Right.
if they try to kick you out when you're halfway through your lease and they don't have any cause, then now they're breaching the lease.
Right. Right. And so like under, right now with no with no eviction courts in session, is it the whole state of Louisiana?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So with that not being a possibility for landlords, if someone does have a year lease or whatever, and I don't know, maybe they're on unemployment and maybe they've got like, the first however long taken care of and that 600 a week Bernie check and all that, that's taken care of for like, maybe they could even be paying a little bit here and there. Would it be pretend they're not getting that 600 a week, pretend they're only getting their like 115 from the state, which is not enough to pay rent in New Orleans in most neighborhoods. Is that cause to not pay, like not having the money, is that cause to not pay, to not get evicted in August?
That's like the big thing, and that's just like, and it seems like I think they were talking about this in some, it might have been Chapo, honestly, like it's going on in New York too, this issue of like, well, if you can't pay right now, maybe you can't get evicted, but in August you're gonna owe like 4 months of rent on the same day. Like, what are you gonna do? And that's like, there's got to be pressure on, and I think here it's at state level. I don't think the city can nullify cancel rent payments. The state might not be able to either. Some states might be able to.
Right.
To push them to it, and if not nullify, like maybe they can subsidize, make the state pay it or something.
Right.
But it's gonna come down to like, well, so there's like also two questions involved in that. Is like, say like you didn't have a job in April, and then you got on unemployment in May, and you could pay April late or whatever. Can they evict you for that? And that's probably, I would doubt that a court would allow you to be evicted for that, because like no one had a job in April. Like we're all fucked basically.
Right.
And you tried to pay. I would say that like if you still don't have money, pay what you can. The landlords are basically not allowed to like refuse money if you're trying to pay.
Got it. Okay.
Say like, I'm not going to take your shit. And if they start to say like, well, I'm not going to take the money unless you give it to me all, kind of keep a record of that and make sure that you have a record that you're trying to pay in good faith.
Right. And yeah, exactly. Like, here's the check number. Take a picture of it before you put it in the envelope, send it to them. And then if they don't cash it, you have a record that you wrote it and sent it to them.
Yeah. If they do cash it, then like make sure you can get that as well.
Right. Yeah, of course. Yeah. Most, I don't know about little banks, but most big banks, they give you a copy of the printout when your check goes through. So yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Because then let's say your rent's $700 and you have 100 to spare, and you send that 100 to your landlord and say, hey man, I'm sorry. Nice little note. That's a good little thing too, because some of the landlords are people,
Yeah.
And like, while they do have political power over you, or like economic power over you, they do have a choice in this matter. And a lot of them can get all kinds of like they're not foreclosing on rental properties right now either. That's the other thing that's really important to remember, is that like, when all these landlords have their like, their little pity parties about losing properties, like they're not going to lose their property. Give them $100, and maybe if they're not working too, right, they'll be super fucking thrilled to have $100.
Yeah, I would say, and this applies to obviously the tenants too. Like late fees should not exist right now.
Oh, sure.
I would say also like, and because this is what I'm hearing is not the case, that late fees on mortgages are still being applied, which fucking sucks. And I'm a lot less sympathetic to landlords with late fees for mortgages or whatever, but like, in all fairness, like they could be a mom and pop person and have trouble paying themselves, and like they should be able to fucking like deal with this in their own way and not get owned on that also.
Right, and those fees trickle. Like when we talk, the only trickling that actually happens is when you put the squeeze on somebody that has power over somebody. They're going to put squeeze on somebody else, so they're going to
Yeah.
trickle that pain down, in the
Huh.
form of higher rent, in the form of higher overhead, and they're
Yeah.
going to fuck people that have no political economy and no power. So
Right.
that shit does fuck the poor, whether the landlord's poor or not.
Yeah.
So yeah, that stuff definitely sucks. Yeah, so pay something, try to pay something, at least try to keep lines of communication open if you have a small landlord. If you have a big company, I would ask them what they would prefer, and just like say, hey, I got $85. What do you want? Um,
Yeah. I'm not, yeah, I would absolutely do that. If you wanted to, you could. I feel like we all have realtor friends nowadays. Like we're 30, like everyone's a realtor. Like
right. Yeah,
I
yeah,
don't. They have certain like their own governing policies that are starting to figure out what that shit is, and um because they and hold them to that. They can't. There was a realtor here who was acting like tyrannical, and kicked a guy out of his house, changed his locks, shit like that, and the story spread like wildfire, and she got owned, and hopefully she gets suspended or something. But yeah, when a realtor does that shit, it's very egregious.
yeah, yeah. Fuck that shit.
Yeah.
Um, that's crazy. So there, yeah, and I don't even think about the realtor part of landlords. Like, so it's like these salespeople that are in the middle of like the property flip part and the rental part, right? And they can tell people that they can do stuff that they're not legally allowed to do, and then the realtor's the one in trouble for doing it, for telling the little like small time flipper that they can get away with shit.
Oh no, I meant like when like a lot of realtors do manage property, and they are like the landlord, or they have
Got
some
it.
level, or it's like, yeah, say it's like a company, like it's what are those stupid fucking real, they all have dumb names, and it's a property through them or whatever.
Yeah.
Fucking the dumb names, they all have the stupid realtor
Yeah.
names. One of those things. If it's like a house that you're renting through those companies, then you know then you can kind of, then the realtor is sort of like acting as the landlord, I believe.
Got it. Okay. 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 Got it. Okay. 'Cause I was thinking about like the flipper type people. It's like if they use a real, which they would, oftentimes those flipper people do use real estate agents, which is
Yeah.
crazy that they're like paying commission on a thing that they're trying to like flip for money. Is like, go to get your license. What are you doing?
Right.
Um, yeah, that's crazy. Um, yeah, that's just being a landlord with extra steps. It sounds like. It was like, or like have a middleman to be a landlord. I don't know, because there is a safety net there, so I guess that's why they do it that way. Like with
Yeah.
a big banking agency or something.
Right.
I don't know. Huh. Right on. So yeah, I guess Louisiana and Alabama are pretty much same boat in terms of eviction goes, in terms of like renters' rights or whatever. Um, the bigger the company, I mean, you can't go back in time and go with like a big rental company, but like, you know, there's different ways to go about it, whether you're dealing with like an individual landlord, or you're dealing with a big company. And either way, though, keep the lines of communication open, record every communication, and obviously transactions, and especially permissions on fixing shit too. Because like they're not gonna fix a damn thing right now. They're not coming out of pocket to fix your place. So get communications on if you're fixing something and they're supposed to be taking it off your rent.
Oh, dude, wait. All right, I'm looking up about like I would say, yeah, for Alabama, like look up your, find your laws. Apparently they don't even have a repair and deduct law in Louisiana. In Alabama. They have. Let's see what they have. Um, um, they have a what are the tenants' rights? It might be just like nothing, like you said, like with the AC thing.
Yeah.
And y'all might have just had like a good faith agreement. Okay,
Yeah, the dude told me to fix it and said just take it off the next month's rent.
oh, I see
He
it.
didn't
Okay.
actually need to do that. Sorry.
No,
He
no, you're
wasn't
good.
required to take that month off. He could have kicked me out for that, it turned out.
Um, you're that the tenants should put in the request in writing and deliver notice to the landlord, giving the landlord 14 days to accomplish the repair, or less if it's an emergency. If the repair is necessary to keep the rental fit and habitable. If the landlord doesn't make repairs, tenants may move out without responsibility for future rent. Okay. And then, or they can stay in and sue the landlord for damages, which is wild. So that would be that difference in deduction or whatever. They could sue for that amount.
Oh,
So,
cool.
which I wouldn't,
I wouldn't, yeah.
it's kind of a fantastical idea that you can just sue your landlord while you're living with under them, but still, you probably do it when you move out.
Yeah. Or, yeah. I'm trying to think of a time when that would even make sense to do. Like, to try to get the repair amount and then whatever. Like, how high would it have to be to warrant your time in court?
I mean, well, so if you're evicted in Alabama for failure to pay because you have a thing that hasn't been repaired, you leave, or you're forced to leave because you don't pay the rent. You can also then sue the landlord for failing to make the repairs.
Oh, okay. Wow.
Yeah,
Okay. Damn, Alabama kind of rocks. That sounds.
that is a yeah, but you still can't withhold the rent, which is the
Oh,
shitty part. But um,
huh.
you can counterclaim it in the eviction lawsuit.
Got
Um,
it.
let me
Okay.
see. I'm gonna read that law actually specifically.
You want me to pause real quick? You read it, and I'll go pee. And I took that little like pause break to pull my ad read out. Um, y'all ever be stressed out in quarantine that you're not gonna be able to make the rent? Is it making your dick soft? BlueChew.com. It's a place to go get dick pills. I have no discounts for you whatsoever. Use Tim Dillon's. He's a good guy. Or Cumtown. I don't know. Use theirs. They're also good guys. Make them have money for it. If your anxiety is causing your dick to stay soft in this time of loneliness and alienation and feeling lost, unmoored, unjobbed, unhand jobbed, unblow jobbed, all the jobs. Your job's not working. Your dick should. Make your dick work. BlueChew.com. Pow! I shit my pants coffee. So, okay, that's enough of that on the break. So you just looked up the Alabama version of the pay to fix a not pay thing.
Yep.
What is laws? How does law work here?
Okay, you ready?
Yeah.
Okay. This is section 35-9A dash. I don't know how to cite this code because I never used it before. Dash 401. If there's a material non-compliance by the landlord or a non-compliance with this material affecting health and safety, which let's see what this is real quick. Oh, okay. So basically, if they fail to do these things and they affect the health and safety, so supply running water with reasonable amounts of water, keep in good safe. So I would look. It says ventilation, so I feel like that judge who did that was probably wrong in, saying that they didn't have to fix the AC for that person, because this is one of the things outlined in here that if you fail to comply materially affecting health and safety, then the tenant may deliver a written notice to the landlord specifying the acts.
Huh. I wonder what this person, because I don't remember getting the whole story. I just gave you like a secondhand thing.
Right.
I wonder if they were renting as like not premises.
Huh.
There's leases that have like non-premises rent. Does that make
Oh,
sense? Where you're
oh,
renting?
like
Yeah, so like if you're renting a rehearsal space and it
yeah,
happens to be most of a house
right.
and it has an air conditioner when you move in, but that's not part of it as specified in the lease, and she just didn't check it out. I don't know.
Could be.
So that's dope, actually. I'm really hopeful about that. Hey, good job, Alabama.
Yeah. So yeah, you can say that your rental agreement will terminate not less than 14 days after they get the letter that you send them. So
Okay.
yeah, you can be like, I'm moving out in 14 days if you don't fix this shit. Um,
I'm still not sleeping at 104-degree night
yeah.
for 14 days, but
Oh God, no, no one is. Um, then the tenant may recover actual damages and attorney's fees, which is always very good.
hell yeah.
Um, yeah, so that's and you get security deposit back, assuming that you didn't do any other damage. Um, the other thing I found for Alabama that's a good thing to know is that they don't have, or they have a statutory limit on security deposits, which most states do not.
Huh.
Not that most states don't, and it doesn't really seem to be a thing because it would prevent people from moving in. I mean, I've never seen a lease that charges more than the 1 month's rent, but just in case, Alabama says you can't charge more than 1 month's rent for deposit.
Huh. I wonder how recent that is, because there have been times where I've had to do that.
Really?
Yeah. Absolutely. I had a house one time that was $750. Me and my boys were renting it out. I
Yeah.
was the only one on the lease, but it was me and like 4 other dudes. It was $750, and the security deposit I believe was $13.75.
Fuck. Okay.
We got almost 100% of it back though, so
That's good.
that was
Yeah.
with a very big company.
Security deposits are tricky, and I think a lot of like I don't want to sound too optimistic about the legal system or anything like that,
Right.
but uh, I firmly believe that a lot of issues are the landlord actually not following the law and taking advantage of people who are unable or unknowledgeable about how to assert their actual rights.
Right.
I mean, let's be real. You might have a remedy, but if you don't know that you have a remedy, if you don't know that you've been wronged, and say you're poor and you can't afford to fucking raise it as an issue, and maybe you just can't afford the fucking filing fee to sue, then like, what are you gonna do?
Right.
So the fact that that lawyers can get attorney's fees means that a lawyer could actually take this case and get paid to do it.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Good. Yeah.
And that was Alabama state law you were just looking at.
Yeah.
Cool. And by the way, none of those, there was like no tabs or anything open that was recorded just now that you're going to have problems with.
Oh no, this is all
Work computer stuff.
yeah, I'm doing research on another. I'm writing an opinion on another lawsuit that we had when I was a law clerk, and so it's mostly just legal tabs.
Yeah, I didn't see anything crazy. I just didn't want to. I don't if it was like putting your shit out there and I had to like crop or edit somehow. Cool.
Nah, I'm looking at it again. You're good.
Awesome. Hell yeah. Shit, man. So we talked about some tennis rights. Tennis rights. We talked about tennis rights. We did our Blue Chew and Tonks Coffee ad read, and we've kind of gone over Alabama's tennis rights. Luckily, did a fact check live on a thing I said wrong. Two wrong things. Two wrong things I said. And then, but that goes back into those wrong things I said were things that happened. That's the other crazy thing. So like, just because the law was actually on the tenant side doesn't mean a landlord can't scare the shit out of you.
Yeah.
Right.
Or you might not know. Some of these laws could be pretty recent.
Right.
And they just don't know.
Even if they're not, like even if the 1 month rent security deposit thing has been in there for 50 years, it didn't stop me from paying it, right? Like,
Yeah. Right.
I didn't fucking know, I was like
Right.
a little kid. So, that goes back to that, like, well, just because it's illegal doesn't mean that the powers that be aren't going to do it if they're going to get
Yeah. And I
money out.
should say that if you have an issue, you should find I don't know what the good agencies are in Alabama. I'm sure there's there has to be a fair housing agency in Alabama.
I'm pretty
Um,
sure there is fair
legal.
housing, and there's also like good credit counseling shit here too.
Cool.
And a lot of those, like if you're in debt or whatever, they are also trained to talk to you about your housing rights.
Cool.
So that because your bills all go together, right? It's not like your debt is somehow separate from your rent and your power and your gas and everything. It's all your expenses, like Fair Housing Alabama. Pull that up real quick. Central Alabama Fairhousing.org. Central Alabama Fairhousing.org. Great place to check out. I guess I haven't actually done any research on it. I just Googled fair housing in Alabama, but
yeah, go to them, consult an attorney. Don't consult the things that I said. Just
or me.
Yeah,
Especially me.
If you think you have something, go talk to go get an attorney if you were able to.
Yeah, exactly. There were like 3 or 4 good links that I just saw on Google when I just like Fair Housing Alabama. So if you have a problem with housing in Alabama, Google that, not talk to me. And then it's actually subdivided too. There's like Northern Alabama Fair Housing, and like AlabamaLegalHelp.org is really good. And then HUD.gov has a tenants' rights page.
And that would apply if you're on like Section 8 or your landlord receives like federal funding, basically. Yeah.
Which they do.
Yeah.
The good news is because this most recent thing, to get them their 0% interest loans through the bank, all those small businesses, right? It was like, well, what storefront do they have? Oh, they don't. They just get checks from people and then pay a mortgage. Well, those small businesses just got huge fucking loans to the tune of like $500 billion. So almost every single one of them now does have to be beholden to that level of responsibility.
That's because of the Corona like loans and stuff.
Yep. So if they took any of those 0% loans as small business owners, they are now beholden as people that took emergency loan relief or debt, like that kind of like emergency relief. They have to actually pass that down onto their customers.
That's awesome.
And their employees, by the way. So if you're a maintenance guy for an apartment complex and that apartment complex used mortgage forgiveness to not pay on the property or whatever, or like your unemployment runs out or yada, 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 or they're making you go back early because you're essential, you're not actually forced to go back either, from what I understand.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yo,
if they took the loan.
Should I try to grow a mullet, man? Like,
dude, it fucking rocks. It feels good. I'm only just now seeing like a little bit of fuzz down here. I thought I hit it all the same length. I've been doing this funny shit,
Yeah. You're in style now. Everyone has a mullet. All the hipsters have mullets.
Yeah, man. When I was like 19 to 22 or so, and this all first started happening, I was like, I cut it with scissors. And this was a little longer and floofier, but then this was just like, I looked like a French fashion designer in the 90s. It was dope. That's the look. That's actually kind of where you're going with it. It's a little poofy on top. Yeah.
Yeah, it's because I'm balding.
Yeah. You're about where I was at like 18, 19.
Oh, shit. Yeah, it started in law school for me pretty bad.
Hell yeah. Where'd you go to law school?
Oh, Tulane.
Hell yeah, Tulane.
Yeah.
Hell yeah. That's dope. So like when you were in Montgomery, what were you even doing up here? What was the deal with that?
I got a clerkship with the federal defenders.
Oh, nice.
Which is on Court Street, I think, right? It's right next to the clinic.
Hell yeah.
So on Friday mornings before I went in, I would go to the powerhouse, hang out with Mia and them, and hang out with David Day, my favorite dude. And then I'd go straight and clerk, and that was I think the Powerhouse is like it's probably my favorite fucking thing about my time there, actually.
Hell yeah. We're going to have Travis on this week, too.
Oh yeah, tell him hi. I saw him. I went back to Alabama like a year and a half ago, like 2 years ago, something like that. And I saw him at like a house party, and he acted like completely unfazed, like as if I had never left.
Yeah.
He's like, "What's up, man?"
Yeah. It's just like a giant, like joyous, like calming presence, you know?
Yeah.
Like I
Yeah,
love
I
that
love
dude
it, dude.
so much. We were doing like, again, it's bourgeoisie entryist politics, but like we were doing like lobbying day for like, I don't want to say the organizations we were doing it with because I just called it bourgeoisie entryism, and they're kind of nice people. But it was like every year we have some fucking crazy thing that comes up at the state level, and like this time it was like they were trying to criminalize a doctor
Yeah,
giving hormone therapy to
I
any
wrote
child.
I wrote an article about that. Yeah, for the
Right.
magazine, because we had a similar bill in Louisiana that it's still probably pending. Like it probably won't pass here, but like, yeah, it was close. That was scary. And I was reading up about Alabama's, and that was just like absolutely just. And I think they just passed one in like Wyoming too. That's like really bad.
Yeah, theirs was fucking gnar. Theirs was like really fun, like really crazy, and it passed.
Yeah.
The thing is like how fast it'll get overturned by like any doctor, getting in trouble for it. Because like, what are you gonna do? Like, put a millionaire in jail? Like,
Yeah. I mean, I can't.
for doing their job? Like, that doesn't make any sense at all.
I don't know what would happen with that. I mean, I would think a conservative would a conservative judge, which let's say most of them are now, as of compared to like 4 years ago. Um, you know, they have to be like, well, the medical field has some ability to fucking regulate itself. You have to give them some level of like right to do that and not,
Right.
impose on their rights.
Right. And
They might.
they have a ton because like they're allowed to work like 20-hour shifts plus, and like that's because they have this incredible amount of responsibility and power in society. They have this amount of like self-regulatory power. Like we
Right.
give them their own dignity and respect, and we say doctors are special fucking people. They're special, and their judgment should supersede these like kind of insane laws. Like the one in Alabama was nuts too. I haven't read the one in Wyoming, but the Alabama one was crazy because like if a 13-year-old boy stabs his one testicle with a pencil, right? Then he's going to need hormone therapy. He's
Yeah.
mid, he's mid
He's pubescent. Yeah.
he's pubescent. There we go. So it's not even like a trans thing to give that child hormone therapy to confirm his gender. You're
Yeah.
confirming his born gender, his assigned gender are the same, right? But you're giving a cis child hormone therapy, and it makes no difference between those in the law. So it would have been like, yeah, in 2 weeks we're gonna fucking overturn this. Like,
What happened with that law? I know that I was trying to talk to me about it and trying to figure out what happened. I know it
it's like
failed and then it passed.
206 or 180. Okay.
Yeah, there were two.
Alabama House Bill Trans. Let's just do that because passes bill to block transgender treatment. That was March 5th. That's pretty recent. Damn. It passed it at the Senate. Not great. And the wording does say to minors who identify as transgender. So it is specific to transgendered kids, and it will not hurt cisgendered kids. So it will probably not get overturned anytime soon.
Well,
I
yeah, then
doubt
you could
anybody's
raise
going to get in trouble for it. Like, I can't imagine a doctor being like getting narked on by who,
I mean, but they might be like, we got to protect our license. You know what I mean? Like, and just
Right.
not do it. I mean, I know they have an ethical duty, but I don't know. Some doctors might not want to touch it anymore. But because it only targets certain individuals, there could be a equal protection claim or a Title VII claim, assuming that the rest of the country adopts the view that gender identity is protected as gender protection, is equal sex protection or whatever.
Oh, it
Which is
didn't pass the House yet.
okay.
Okay, so we're still good on that. It passed the Senate, did not pass the House. But yeah, sorry, I was reading about that while you were giving the.
Well, like Louisiana's was insane too, because it was only about trans athletes or whatever, and it said that.
Yes.
And it was they always use that, and it was like if they're
my daughter didn't get a scholarship.
Yeah, but it's like if someone raises a concern that a student is performing for a gender that they're not assigned or whatever, so it's then if someone raises a concern, it doesn't say who, it doesn't say, it could just be like a bully saying like, oh, this guy's a girl, then the person can be forced to have a medical exam by a doctor to confirm it.
Who pays for that doctor's exam?
Oh, I'm sure they do.
Yeah, exactly. You can bill the patient, which means the person that got bullied. Yeah.
Yeah, so it's like a forced like cervical exam or forced like genital exam because somebody was like, oh, the guy's not, the guy's trans or whatever, and there could be no actual basis behind it.
Yeah.
And that only targets trans women athletes. So there you see another problem.
Right. Yeah. I'm starting to like really put a lot more credence into the like Gloria Steinem was a CIA plant, like developing that like kitten in a tree style feminism.
Yeah.
Because yeah, if there had been like any kind of intersectionality in feminism, we wouldn't have shit like that. Like where it's like the focus wouldn't have been on like girl power. Like it wouldn't have been like that. It would have been like whatever athletics wouldn't have been gendered anyway. I don't know.
She basically was a TERF, wasn't she?
Oh, she died of TERF. If she's still alive, she hasn't died of TERF, but she will die of TERF. She's like hardcore transphobic, super white supremacist too.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, she's like super not great.
I mean, that's the whole like.
It's technically a conspiracy theory, I should say. We don't know that she got paid by the CIA to do the type of feminism she did, but it does uphold the class interests of the ruling class, so it would make sense.
Yeah, I mean that's the whole like white feminism thing that we see among the Biden Hillary people, and they're like, the focus on like the girl achievement shit. It has a double-edged sword where it's like if a lot of them might feel fucking threatened by trans people also because they're so wrapped up in their identity as a woman.
Right.
Not that like you shouldn't have that identity or whatever, but like, when society pushes the other way and it's like, girl power, it only becomes focused on like, well, we got to get girls in equal positions of power rather than questioning that power.
And my favorite example of it was that like that brunette white girl that was going nuts about getting beat, and the girl that beat her was black, right?
Okay.
And she wanted to say quick twitch so bad. You could tell that she wanted to be racist more than she wanted to be transphobic.
Oh, okay.
But she knew she couldn't get away with racism, but she could get away with transphobia.
Oh, so she couldn't say, oh, well, she's got better quick twitch muscles or whatever?
Yeah, she couldn't. You can't get away with that.
Yeah.
Right? You can't say that anywhere.
Yeah.
But she got on like the Today Show saying penis or whatever. I don't know what the fuck she said, but it doesn't matter what she said. What she's trying to say though is that some people have the right to perform at a certain level and some people don't.
Right.
And the quick twitch part of it is like we're old. I mean, that's old. Like
That's
that
like
happened a
science.
long time ago when people would say that. That's some like Hitler shit about Jesse Owens. They started saying that shit, right?
Yeah.
But that lasted through the early 80s even.
People still say that shit, I hear sometimes,
Yeah. I hear it in like research, like in musculature research, but I never hear it gendered or racialized. Like it's always talking about like the things to do to build it. Because it was always environmental anyway. Nobody's born with quick twitch muscles,
And the thing I learned being like a runner was that like, I do these races in like the winter. It would always be like this guy from Kenya who came to run the Crescent City Classic or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And I was looking into why that was, and I found out that like in Kenya it's a high altitude, so your lungs are better equipped. Even in New Orleans, where we have a high oxygen density because of we're on sea level.
Yeah.
That means their lungs are going to be more efficient than mine because I'm used to living at sea level.
Right.
And they like herd sheep and shit up there at these high altitudes.
Right.
That's environmental. I mean,
yeah, no, and it's also like a mode of transportation that's just accepted is like running from place to place. So like 7-year-olds are busting out like 12 kilometers a morning.
Holy shit.
Like to go to school.
Damn.
They're just like doing it at the pace. I mean, they're not like sprinting it, but they're doing that on foot. And why wouldn't you pick up the pace a little bit? You know what I mean? Pick them up, put them down. Like, so culturally, it's just accepted to see people like running down the road instead of walking kind of half-assed,
Right.
So, and like, what was the Australian guy that like, so in like ultra distances, he like revolutionized it by not sleeping, the gumboot guy.
Oh, shit.
Have you ever heard of his story? White guy, white old fucking farmer, but he was a shepherd, right? So it's the same story as the Kenyans. They're not running more than like 50 mile on the average like work day in their shepherding because the environment's different. It's more mountainous, so the sheep aren't going like crazy far distances. But this dude's in like a flatter place in Australia, so he's having to run like sometimes 3 days at a time, not sleeping at super, super low speeds. So he was just like, this one dude's perfectly made to run ultra marathon distances, and just like crushed ass at it. Like all these crazy elite athletes would like, they would outrun him for like 9 hours at a time, and then they would sleep for 4 hours, and then he would completely demolish the 4-second lead they had. Like in that 4 hours that they were asleep, he's just like, well, they've got this this lead, and I'll just eat that up, and then first place,
Yeah, shit.
So anyway, he wasn't born like that though, right? He wasn't assigned distant runner at birth.
Right.
Like his environment created him perfectly, and it was a holistic athletic approach. Like we don't wake up one day and do 100 chin-ups. Like you do it over time, you make it cultural. So anyway, trans athletes are athletes. Wait. Athletic rights. I'm saying athletic rights. No, trans rights. There we go. Boom, got it. Trans rights. Trans rights are human rights. Athlete rights are human. Or wait, fuck. I lost the plot again. God damn. I'm so confused now.
Athletes are
okay.
trans rights.
Wait.
I don't know.
All right, wait. Now listen, if you're a young woman athlete and you're having trouble performing, in bed. BlueChew.com says, don't tuck that penis. Be proud of it. Show it off. Tell the referee. Say, yeah, you're goddamn right. I'm a woman with a big hard dick. And that joke feels transphobic, but it's not.
No.
Because I'm proud of it. I would be proud of it. If I had a big hard girl dick, I would be proud of it. Yeah. Be proud of your big hard girl dick. Get BlueChew.com. Start on them early. Start on the dick pills early with your quick twitch dick muscles. Quick twitch dick muscles.
That's it.
For white girls. I mean, any race can have quick twitch dick muscles, big spongy dick muscles. Get big. It's not a muscle. It's a sponge full of blood.
It's a sponge, yeah.
It's a sponge full of blood. It's actually the exact same thing as a clitoris. They're the same thing in the cremaster cycle is fetal tissue, and it develops into either a girl dick, a boy clit, or somewhere in there. Thank you again, Charlie, for being here.
Of course.
Appreciate. If y'all have any questions, hit it in the comments, and I'll get you in touch with a lawyer. This is The Great Satan, a podcast about all the ways in which American hegemony is destroying your life, my life, and everybody else's life. And we're going to try to live through it together. Grow a mullet.
Fuck yeah.